Hello everybody, this is gonna be my new show. I came up with a new title. It's called Let's Get Free. I thought it might sound corny, but whatever. That's what I'm calling it. so, got a little bit to talk about today, and I'm gonna start off because I did do a little kind of PowerPoint deal, but it never works. I just feel like I need to be natural, but basically today's show is going to be about the 2020 economy, 1010, the minimum wage proposal, uh, Walmart. Those will be the next topics coming up in the next few shows. I think I might cut them down to a show per topic because I realize people don't have forever to be on here listening to me gaggle on about nonsense. But anyways, I want to say something else too before I get started. When I'm listening to stuff and watching stuff, when I'm trying to learn some things or understand some things, I realize that I have to have a filter because some people on the other end of who I'm listening to, I realize those people they're not always agreeable. They're not going to say everything I like. It's almost impossible to agree with everything someone says. But I had this. A lot of people, what they do is, and I was guilty of this for a long time, so I can understand some people do it and why some people don't do it. But when the first time you hear something you don't like, you allow that to just taint the rest of your experience to where you might even turn it off before you absorb the rest of the information and determine that it's not worth your time or listening to or whatever. But I'm bringing this up because I have this ability to filter when I'm looking and listening to things where I'm trying to expand my knowledge or whatever. Where somebody says something I don't like, I can easily ignore that and absorb the stuff that's useful to me. And I'm bringing that up because I've put a lot of thought into censoring myself and intentionally trying not to offend people, and that makes it very difficult for me to speak my mind. And I don't think there's anything else here I should be doing other than speaking my mind. So with that, I want to say, you're going to feel my emotion. Sometimes I'm not going to be able to stop myself from using profanity, poor grammar. And I'm not gonna be able to censor myself at every turn. I want this to be real to you, like it's real to me, and I want you to be able to feel that if you're gonna take your good time to listen to me talk about some things I think we all should be discussing. So with that, we're gonna move into the 2020 economy today. Okay, so on today's show, what I wanted to do is what we're gonna do is I'm gonna try my best to get everybody to understand something. It's not gonna be easy to absorb because we've been kind of conditioned to stay comfortable and stay in your comfort zone. There's gonna be some things that I'm gonna talk about. It's not gonna really rub you the right way, but more than likely. But it's the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. That's not a cliche. Only that people they say that because it's easy to be said. It's the truth. But I don't want to be an alarmist, but I want to be practical when I talk about something. Or when I look out into the world every day, when I wake up, man, I see beyond the little layers that's been put there for you to kind of just go on about your day without noticing anything. And one of the things that bothers me is we all kind of asleep at the wheel. Like, we gotta be. No one's telling anybody to be afraid of anything. You know what I mean? But you gotta understand what's out there and what's happening. And this thing that's going on with it's not over yet. It's maybe for now the worst of what we could have imagined it to be is behind us, and supposedly we're supposed to be some recovery or something. That's some nonsense. But for the most part, you gotta be prepared for the worst that's yet to come. And if it doesn't come for you, great. If it hasn't come for you, if you haven't experienced any bad in this economy right here that we've been dealing with, I mean, great for you. If you've not lost your job, and if you know life is grand for you, and you feel comfortable and safe and secure in your space, I can appreciate that, and I respect that. I'm really happy for you. I hope that that continues. That's not the point. To diminish that is not the point of me bringing up the subject. And I realize that a lot of the people who may or may not be listening to it, things might be going great, but I mean, it's a time for everything under the sun. That's some Ecclesiastes right there. I mean, I'm not going to fill your head with a bunch of that type of rhetoric, but I mean, you got it today and you be homeless tomorrow. This is the reality for people on the ground today. Um, the worst that's yet to come, and I mean, you could be, like I said, you could be doing it, feeling real good about yourself, on top of the world, and then tomorrow you're not. And personally in my life, man, when in the earlier parts of my life, man, I swore the things that was coming I could have never imagined. If I had to write a little paper on the most imaginable things I ever thought could happen to me going forward in my life, there's no way I could have estimated that the things that I've had to go through could have ever happened. And I'm sure there's a lot of people feeling like that, because that's exactly what they're experiencing right now. You never imagined when you bought a house that you could lose your job and then end up getting foreclosed on and losing everything you worked for in your life. You never imagined that you could go to college and still not get a job because they fed your head with all the nonsense. Well, if you get an education, that education is key to everything. Well, there's a lot of people getting an education and they ain't doing nothing. They're doing something, but it ain't much. I mean, it's probably is not related to anything they went to school for. If you are, you be the exception to the rule, not the common outcome. You be an exceptional outcome, like Bill Gates quitting college, becoming a billionaire. You know, they told you education was everything, but he did it. But he's an exception. He's not the rule. Same way, just because you go to college, it's not necessarily going to hurt you. There's nothing wrong with being educated, but don't feed into the nonsense of thinking that just because you pop in your head into school that it's going to mean you're going to get everything. Everything's just going to fall into your lap. That's some nonsense. That's complete nonsense. I should do another show about that altogether, but this is what we on right now, the 2020 economy. This is the time of consequence right here. People don't understand that. Some people do, and it's a shame it's already a little too late for a lot of people who already understand it. The people who don't are the ones who think everything is peaches and gravy. Everything is good for them right now. And I want to say something about, today, right now. This is a harsh reality for some, but because I'm half African American, so I don't want you to understand and think I'm saying something that you've heard 100 times. But I'm gonna tell you right now, my people are poor, and they are slaves. And you think I'm talking about my race? No, I'm not. I'm talking about a class of people. Color don't matter. It's not about that no more. The new slaves have no color. They're colorless. They're every color. If you get up and you go to work and some other person is signing your paychecks, you are a slave. You think that's not true? You've not really put any thought into that. Before you jump to the conclusion, really think about the way you're going to digest that little bit of information there. You can turn your nose up at it. That's natural, right? But think about it. You're a slave. The only thing you are free to do every single day that God sends is get up and go to work. There's nothing wrong with working, making a living, But being paid a wage to maintain a very minimal level of existence is not living. That's not freedom. When somebody has to tell you every day you have to wake up, you have to be here at this time, and if you don't, yeah, you're free to not do it, but you're going to lose your job. And the fact that you can't get another one means you are now beholden to that job, to that situation. If you don't like the job, if you don't like circumstances that surround the job, whether it's pay, benefits, poor working conditions, you might consider yourself one of the people that are extremely lucky to just say have a job. And you're now, almost giving in to your slavery. It's a poor subject, but it's the one that people need to talk about. You don't know, you no longer work. You don't make a living wage. I mean, if you're a single person or you're two single people living together and you have no children and all that, yeah, you have a decent substance, like a decent level of life where you feel like it's all going on. Everything good is going on for you. And there's going to be the rare people that have all that. They have a family and they have household and the bills and they still feel like they're doing it. And for that, I'm so happy for you. But you are part of an ever decreasing minority of people. There's a whole class of people that it doesn't even matter, man. No matter what they do, the ends will never meet. They get a raise, it's more money, more problems. I mean, there's always something they don't have. There's always something to buy. So at the pathetically slow rate that you gain income off of, raises or whatever, it's a poor level of existence. You can find your happiness somewhere in between there if you're that type of person with a good optimistic mindset and all that. But I mean, it's not going to change who you are. It's not going to change the reality that you are a slave. You don't sign your own checks and pay your own paychecks. You are beholden to whatever the ideas those people have that write your checks for your life. When they're done with you, they're done with you. If you turn around and that situation happens where they're ready to let you go, you'd be consider yourself real lucky to find another job, a decent one too, in a nice matter of time. Before everything falls down, your world falls down around you. Better have a good support system. You understand what I'm saying? Thing is, there's this thing going on where there's back in the day, a man could work for a living. And he'd make a living wage, meaning he had enough to buy a house, and I mean mortgage a house, a car, had some play money, room for a vacation, and he can feed and clothe his family and enjoy some of the nicer things in life off of his one job. And mom could be home with the kids if she so choose it. Now you can't even do that. To say mom is going to be home with the kids, that's a joke. The economy's changed. This is not an industrial economy where the man goes works at a factory or construction or something like that. This is a service economy. The bulk of the jobs that are happening now, guess where they're coming from? Retail. It's not generally a man's job. I mean, men are now applying for it, but I mean, this idea that some jobs aren't gender specific it's a nice myth, but it is. Women aren't trash people. When's the last time a woman came and picked up your trash from in front of your house? It's a man's job. I mean, that's no way to look at it. You understand what I mean? This is just the way it is. It's a service economy now. There's no careers. You can't. When's the last time you talked about starting for a company when you get out of college and retiring there? That is an outdated idea. But this is what they taught you in school. You get a job, you work with them for so many times. Now it's guess what? It's up to you to go ahead and retire, because you can't get a job with a company and retire anymore. All you have is a job, And retirement and benefits, that comes with a career, not a job. Why do you think people who have a job can't afford health care, the benefits that come with that job? They can't afford the money they'll take out the check to afford the health insurance. Even though they work, full time or for most of the week, because they're stopping that too. There's no full time jobs. You need 3 part time jobs now. That's the 2020 economy. And this is the time of consequence. So now what's happening here? Who's at fault for this? The people who destroyed your economy. You could say it's Wall Street, these politicians. That's what's happening now. The economy's ugly. And why are they doing this? That's another conversation. I mean, they could be doing a lot, but the people who are actually making the decisions for your life, guess what? They don't care anymore. Hey, well, if you've been out of work for such and such time, guess what? There's no more extended unemployment insurance. So good luck with the rest of your life. But you're not getting it from us. But these are the people we keep putting in power. They keep hiding behind bullshit, excuses. Why they haven't done anything for this country to repair the damage that's been done. You know what they did? They gave money to the banks, but they don't want to give you a couple dollars every month. Ain't that amazing? It's an interesting thing. And if they didn't want to give you the couple dollars every month, why aren't they doing something to help promote job growth? And I ain't talking about that crap they keep talking about on TV. The Fed is picking up bonds and all this other nonsense because they're trying to support job growth and regulate the unemployment rate. Yeah, right. That's a bunch of nonsense. They're not doing nothing. They've been buying a whole lot of stuff and printing a whole lot of money, and guess what? Unemployment is not improving. People are falling off the way they count it. There's a difference. The unemployment rate is not going down. They're artificially allowing it to go down by cutting everybody off of unemployment. Isn't that amazing? It's a very interesting thing. The 2020 economy is, if you got a job, you're a slave. It's that simple. The closest thing to freedom you're going to be is a small business owner. You say these people think, who's at fault for this? Crooked ass politicians. It's that simple. The people on Wall Street, they destroyed this country. Point blank, they allowed everything to fold on itself, and it caused all these jobs to be lost. All these banks and businesses to go out of business because what? Pure greed. Greedy shit. Doesn't even make any sense. And the people that we elected to put in place, guess what? They're not going to do nothing. So it's up to you. It's like, guess what? Everything's fine. Just keep going to work. That's all you have to do. You just keep going to work. It's not a big deal. It's very funny. The things that are going to happen in this economy, the 2020 economy, is crime and poverty. These things are going to go hand in hand. As people keep coming up and being more and more and more entrenched in these things where they have no job, no outlook for their lives, and there's nowhere to turn because there's no unemployment, guess what's going to happen? I can tell you what's going to happen. Everything's going to go to crap. And like I said, when I wake up in the morning and my kids are getting ready for school, we turn on the news and guess what you see? Home invasion here, bank robbery there, convenience store hold up there. I mean, it's sick. And you think these people who created this situation have no interest in putting it back. Those are real criminals. You understand what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. These are real criminals. They want to tell you who. Think about. Let me show you what a criminal is. The people that destroyed this country are doing nothing to repair it. Look at all the people who lost their jobs, the people who lost their houses, the people who continue to suffer as a result of that nonsense. And they're all doing great. They all got big bonuses and bailouts from the government. The people you elected to protect and serve you, right? They protect the system that destroyed the rest of the system for everyone else. They got extra money. They got all that. No criminal charges, nothing. But you take a drug dealer, right? This is a criminal. This is what they teach you. This is a criminal. But at the heart of what a drug dealer does, this might sound provocative, but I mean, think about it. Not on the surface level. I mean, really think about it before you jump to a conclusion. These people that won't create no jobs, they tell you, well, hey, well, the free market should be the ones that the government doesn't have a hand in that. The government shouldn't be creating jobs. The free market should be creating jobs. Bullshit. They don't believe in the free market. They call a drug dealer a criminal. But you think about it, if they believe in the free market, which is what they keep telling you, a drug dealer wouldn't be called a criminal, he'd be called a businessman. Because he's one of the only people who deal with it on a scale. No matter how you've been conditioned, or even if that's really truly your personal view on the subject, that person is a criminal, right? That person's a criminal. The person who decides to deal drugs to someone who wants drugs is a criminal. But you think about it, this is the free market, right? That's what they're telling you to believe, the free market. All these conservatives who don't want to push no job issues, they say, look, guess what? And I'm not trying to be political here, because it's all across the board. I didn't mean to say conservatives like it's all their fault. But I will say they're not helping, and neither is anyone else there. Doesn't matter what part of politics they're involved in. They're all crooked as fuck. I mean, it's that simple. But the criminal is the person who's actually following the free market. The free market is demanding drugs. I mean, if not, there wouldn't be a drug dealer. That's the way the free market works. I took economics in college. I mean, what is the deal here? The free market. The funny thing, this very topic was in the book. But the free market is demanding drugs, but because it's criminalized, it's wrong. And that's the way that works, right? But at the heart of what a drug dealer does is he's an honest broker. Because he's providing a service or a product that the free market is demanding. And he exchanges a medium for his services or goods. And we call him a criminal. But he's an honest broker. Think of it. If he was really a criminal, what would he be selling drugs for? He'd just pick up a gun or a weapon and run in somebody's house and take whatever they want. They run in the bank and shoot it up and rob it up and take all the money. That's a criminal. That's a criminal. But they want you to believe that they fill in your head with all these commercials and nonsense and telling you that people who sell the drugs are criminals. Yeah, sure. Yeah, they broke the law, but I mean, didn't everybody on Wall Street? Well, not everybody, but you know who they are. You know who they are. And they know who they are, and they you know what? They already in their pockets. That's why they're never going to see jail or anything close to that. They putting people in jail for tickets and stupid shit. But the people that destroyed the economy of this country still are operating, making all kind of good government money. No consequence. You missed that ticket if you want to in Lee County. Guess where you going? You'll be right up in jail on a bench warrant, $50 a day. You be hungry and mad as hell because you ain't getting out till that fine is paid. But these people destroy people's lives, totally incomplete, and that's the way it is. If you got a job, you're a slave, man. These people, they don't want your life. They don't want. I'm sorry. They don't want your 40 hours a week. They want your life. You can't do anything outside of work. If they want you to come in off the time they schedule you to come in, you got to come in. Or you don't have to. They might let you go, realizing you ain't the one going to be there when they want you to be there. Even though they ignore the fact that you have a life and a family outside of work. They want your life. When season comes, I guess everything is supposed to revolve around that. You can't even go have a bathroom break or a lunch break because there's so many people in there. They want to make all the damn money. They don't care if you take a break all of a sudden. The federal law and the guidelines don't matter. That's happening all over the country. Every store you know, Walmart right now. These greedy people, they make they don't want. It's all about profit. We say like when they're done with you, they're done with you. That's the way the economy's been working. But the way out of this is to say, hey, the closest thing to freedom since you a slave is to be a small business owner. But it takes money to make money. Who's cooperating? Nobody. The people who have the system set up in such a way that you keep making these low wages and continuing to get by month to month, week to week. Guess what happens? These people are so organized. And they're organized in a fashion that's going to keep you down forever, because the people who have, even though you only got a little bit of money and you can't see a way to where you could be, you could collaborate with somebody and make a lot of money. Even though you have that little bit of money, if you put your head together, you could defeat that whole setup right there. But they understand they got you distracted with stuff. They think, hey, if you're okay, if you got a job and you're doing good right now, you're not unemployed, this doesn't apply to you. Don't worry, it'll never happen to you either. Maybe you got to start thinking outside the box. It takes money to make money. And, if you had these low-wage jobs, it's hard to get up the money to try and do something. There's nothing going to be easy about trying to make a small business or do something for yourself. Nothing is going to be easy about that, right? But it's the way it is. It's the way it has to be. You can't do something on your own. Think about it. If you have a couch and you need to move it, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to do. There's no lie about that. There's no lie about it. But then if you have you got a friend, you say, hey, I need to move this couch, and it's just you and him, and now all of a sudden that seemingly impossible task don't seem so impossible anymore, does it? Do you think you can't do something? All you need is a little help, a little bit of cooperation. But you understand that the people that are keeping you in this little paradox here, where you work and you do so much and you live your life and you keep never getting ahead, you just keep getting further and further behind, or just getting by. It's one or the other. It's never both. You understand? When you had that friend come help you move that couch, it becomes easy. And then what if you had 2 or 3 friends you can call over, and it's like, now it's nothing. You understand what I'm saying? So you think the task is, it's hard to do by yourself, but there's no cooperation. If you don't learn to cooperate with your fellow man or your fellow friend, these people you call friends, these people that you think mean something to you, you have to put that idea to the test. What we associate with each other for if we can't collaborate on nothing that really matters? It's not, for most people, it's like, hey, we friends, but I got and you don't, and or I see that we could do something and make it happen, but we can't cooperate. How could we really be friends then? I mean, really, a lot of people just be wasting time. You wait and you playing musical chairs, waiting for your job to be done with you, because if profits are down and numbers don't add up for them, only thing you are to them is profit. If you're not essential to profit, you are nothing to a job or corporation. That's the corporate ideology now. Profit, money over everything, money over anything. Doesn't matter if you just got a house, you got a car payment to make, you just got a mortgage, you just moved from some far distance to take a job. If they done with you, they done with you, and there's nothing no one's gonna do to you. No, to help you. There's nothing. There's no way to rectify that. Maybe you could find another job, but it's more than likely you're not gonna find one. If you find one, what's the odds that you're gonna find a good one and fast? Very slim, almost slim to none. You better believe it. You understand what I'm saying? The way out. The way out has to be cooperation between people who know and love each other, and understand that you had the same 2 things in common. We want to get out of this little rat race. It's the race that never ends. The little mouse on the rat reel. They dangled a piece of cheese out there for you, and you just running and running and running and running and running. You're not designed to work your life away, man. You're not designed to work your life away. The 2020 economy is that you work until you're barely able to work, physically unable to work, and then good luck. Good luck with the rest of your life. You think you're going to get a job at 60, 70, 80? How? Sorry, man. No, you're not. It's a lot of people like that. You'll be lucky to live that long. You want to work all your natural, healthy life away? And I'm not talking about being lazy. I'm talking about do something for yourself instead of working your life away for somebody who don't really care about you. Work for you. Maybe you don't make millions of dollars, but you make it what you can make working for somebody else, and you get that. And what do you get? Time, which is priceless. You got a family to deal with. You want to watch your kids grow up from your job? That's what's awaiting young mothers. Giving your kid to someone else, and we wonder why things are going wrong in the world with these kids now. Growing up, killing each other and killing people. Talking about they wasn't loved at home or whatever the case may be. Because they have they're abandoned, and the economy is demanding that. They want your mothers, they want all of them. And they don't care what happens to your kids. None of that concerns them. They only care about profit. But why don't you care about profit too? You only need enough to get up out of that job situation. Like I said, it's a mountain to climb alone, but boy, I tell you, if you had some cooperation, like the people who are cooperating to keep you trapped in the job paradigm, if you had just a little bit of that type of cooperation, the people who have very little could be turned around and be the people who have everything. It's easier said than done. It's better done in practice than not. Less is more. The people who do less in this economy right here get all the money. Ain't that interesting? Think about it. The people who are responsible for fixing this situation in Washington, those are the same ones. They got a good pampered life. They get to do everything. They got a company account and all that nonsense and blah, 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 right? And they got this good salary, good government salary, but they're not doing nothing. They're in session for a couple days at a time here and there, and then they go back home. And they get paid good to do that. They get paid real good to do that. But here you are working your ass off at random A, B, or C company, and guess what? You get paid almost nothing. You can hardly pay your bills. You can't enjoy nothing other than going to work and coming home. And saying, hey, I paid my bills. Oh, I went to dinner. Oh, I did this. But you sure are going back to work? That's the difference, man. I'm not going to say something too personal. I wanted to, but I'm not. But that's the 2020 economy. You're going to get trapped in it. And if you're doing great, I'm really glad for you. I'm so glad for you. Don't underestimate how serious I am when I say that. If you're doing great in this economy, you still got your job, and everything is going nice for you, I appreciate you. I'm not a hater. I want to participate. But I don't want to participate in the capacity of an employee. I want to become an employer, and maybe be the kind of employer that provides a job to somebody that actually meets their needs and takes them into consideration and understands that you got a family at home that might want to see you on a night or a weekend, or not take up your whole holiday season. It's not a joke, man. These people greed, man. They just greedy. They don't want all the money. They want your life. They want your whole entire life to help them make all this money they making, and they don't even need it. They don't want enough money to be comfortable. They want enough money. They don't want enough money. They want to make all the damn money. And if they're not making all the damn money, they're willing to can your ass just to say, hey, I didn't pay somebody this much money. It was unnecessary for me to make it. So I canned them. They'll just can you like it's nothing. You waiting to play the musical chairs till it's your turn and the music's up? I watched that happen to a couple people over the last few years, and I didn't know them very long at all. But it burns me. You know what I'm saying? to see what they're about to have to go through, to see the look on their faces. There was somebody that got fired in a certain place, and he seemed like he didn't want the job. But when I heard the story of how he got fired, I mean, he was devastated. And they thought he didn't want the job. And you know what seeing somebody like that is like? Hearing about it, just hearing the story? Nah, you don't care. Probably some people don't care. I know a lot of you do because you've been through it or you're going through it. What you waiting for? You waiting for the music to stop and there's nowhere to sit down, and now you out there doing what? Nothing. Praying, hoping. None of that's gonna help, man. Get some cooperation. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that's going to change your circumstance. If there's no jobs, you got to make your own. Focus on being an employer instead of an employee. These are things that groups of employees that make tons of money for any company don't realize that they can stop doing what they do for the company that's not appreciating and paying them what's rightfully theirs, which is an actual lifestyle, for helping them make the millions and billions of dollars that they make. That's what's owed. All these people could stop making this money for these people and turn around and put the little nuggets together and come up with a way to make it for themselves. They already, guess what they got? They got paid training. And they got the blueprint. They just make sure you're so distracted that you can't see the way to do it for yourself. They got you coming in there and making peanuts, doing all the work, understanding every aspect of the job on every level, and paying you peanuts, and then throwing you away when they're done with you. What kind of life is that? It's not life. That's slavery. You get what I'm saying? When you've, I mean, come on, man. I could talk till my head falls off, but that's the 2020 economy. If you ain't got a job and all that, you better make your own. It's that simple. Because the music is about to stop for a lot of people, and it already has. Just a little while ago, 800,000 people fell off the unemployment roll in 1 month. It's no joke. That's almost 1 million people looking for the same job you're looking for. And you thought it stopped there? Every month it's happening to more and more and more people. That's the only way the unemployment rate goes down, because there ain't no jobs, man. That's a joke. Come on now. Wake up. Alright, so that's the show. The next show is going to be on the 10/10 minimum wage thing, and following that will be Walmart and Target. I just wanted to say before I end this one that this subject is really important to me, and I'm sure Wendy knows why and all that stuff. But there's some people that some things happened to real recently that were, I guess they were friends, and you know what? When I see some things happen that where greed is the primary concern, man, with no account for the people that it affects, it's just so ugly. It's real ugly, and I just want to say that to those people, man, I haven't forgotten nothing, man. Y'all at the top of the list. That's not a joke in any sense of the word. Like, when my brain is always trying to make something happen, and when it does, like I said, those you know who you are. You should know. And I don't forget nothing, man. And this really bothers me. And earlier in the show I said where I wanted to say something personal, and I'm gonna say it now. Man, I watched my father, man. He worked his whole life away, man. He was, I like to think he was I'm gonna call him trained, and I'm gonna say that this might sound disrespectful, but that's how I feel, man. He didn't really have it. He thought all he could do was work. He never wanted to really apply the muscle that meant that would make him rest his other muscles. And he worked so hard for the things that he had in life, but at the end of life, he was a bitter man. He passed away, and he was so angry with life in a lot of ways. His life turned south. And to me, it was a shame because I know he loved me to death and he wanted to do everything for me. So I just wanted to tell him, the last time I spoke to him, it wasn't a good conversation. But he was so unhappy with his life that he almost, I mean, one night I thought he was going to shoot himself and kill himself right in front of me. And I don't know what it was. Was it because I came outside and sat next to him and he tried to get me to leave and I refused to? And maybe that's why he had a little bit of life in him after that. But I had to actually sit down with my father and watch him, the agony of disappointment in life. When you reach a tender age, a middle age, he must not have been a little much older than me right now. But he was so unhappy, man. And I don't want anybody I know to go through life living and realizing everything you do is for nothing. So that's why the show is important to me today. And I thank you for listening. But let me know anything you want to hear on my Facebook page. I'm doing all that. You can comment or ask for a certain topic. I'll talk about it. And I just hope we could find some cooperation here. If you know what I'm talking about, my message box is open. I'm doing stuff, but I'll make the time. We gotta do something, man. Thank you.